Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ is Lord.
Hello and welcome in to not another episode of Offensively Accurate. This is going to be pretty casual. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Hope you guys are doing okay. Hope everybody's having well, for those of us who are not single, I'm sure you guys have plans. For those of you who are, don't sit there and feel down about yourself. I know there's a lot of things going on that can lead up to that. But I do hope everybody who does have plans is having a good day today. It's going to be very casual today. Nothing... What's the way I want to say this? Nothing too strong, I guess I really want to go at. We're gonna probably make some noise with this though, actually, because we're gonna take a look at Zeb's latest video on Nick Fuentes, and I'm not gonna be anything. I'm not gonna snipe or do anything like that to Zeb. Zeb's been nothing but nice to me, but I do have some extreme disagreements with what he put in his video. So that'll be mainly what I'm gonna talk about today. A couple other things. We're just gonna look at Brett Cooper and Clavicular. I want to get your guys' opinions on it. And just because I have plans going on right now. I might actually stream later tonight. I don't know yet, but I'm supposed to be moving rooms in the studio. So this should be like the last that you're seeing of the studio behind me. Be moving back to where I used to be actually in the master bedroom, but we're going to rearrange it to have a bit better of a setup. But make sure you are following the show on Spotify and Apple Music if you prefer the podcast format. And also with it happening this weekend, I know I promised it about 3 or 4 weeks ago or so, but I will be proliferating out the Rumble channel too. I want to get that set up ahead of time, especially because when you look at the current kind of political environment, I don't feel too good about my chances of maintaining full liberty to say what I would like to say without having to package it into, coded language. And so we'll see where that goes. It is what it is. But largely we're going to be taking a look at Nick and Zeb. And we're not going to listen to the video. I already have listened to it earlier today. If you do want to see his actual full-fledged video on what he said about Nick, you can go and find that on YouTube. But I'm not going to take away from his views by reacting to it here. I will address it, though. Fishback's another item on the news today. We have Thomas Massey naming the Jew, and then we have a hilarious AI meme, too. So a short kind of show, probably will be about an hour or so. Rex says to put subscriber mode into 15 minutes. Interesting. I've been playing around with it. I'm going to be honest. I didn't even know it was a thing until I was on Andrew Wilson's stream. And I had seen that he has like the subscriber mode turned on. I think his was the 5 minutes. It just saves the mods a lot of headaches from all the people who come in for, 5 seconds just to say, TDS or something like that, whatever. The stream is called Ascend and on both elements because today is Valentine's Day. So for a lot of us, either side that you're on, whether you're single, whether you're not single, you need to ascend. And in this, we need to maintain and lock in on this element. I actually woke up today, and I have to be honest with you, I didn't feel black-pilled, but you just see kind of some of the general things going on in the political world. And it's hard not to feel demoralized. It's hard not to feel the weighing pressures of that and just kind of say, what's the point? And that's the kind of stuff that we have to push out. Because again, at the end of the day, what do you have to lose? If it all seemingly is so bleak right now, what do you have to lose? But in terms of Valentine's Day, for those of you who are single, don't sit there and use it as an attempt to think about what all you did wrong or why, you can't get a girlfriend, or think about what you can do to change that. Focus on what's positive. Focus on the elements that you can improve upon. And it's as simple as worrying about the things that you can control and not giving an F about the things that you can't. And also having the wisdom to understand the difference between those two things. And for those of us who are married in the what I would consider the least fortunate bunch. No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. Do your absolute best to uphold your duty if you are married, it's your duty as is given to you by God to uphold those marital vows. And be that for your spouse. For those of you who are dating, good luck. Good luck. But ascend in all ways. We need to make sure we are maintaining not only just the most complete consolidarity and maintaining of the values of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, but also leveling up so we can continue to break through the mold and continually pushing the elements of the political system, the social system, a society we live in, to be the things that we want it to be. Rex Strasser says he got his girlfriend a knife for today. That's pretty cool. Single, learn to weld. Yeah, but get some money up. So I won't spend too much time here at the beginning on any of that. The first thing I'm going to go to here actually is this Brett Cooper and clavicular, because it's kind of going a bit viral. Put this on screen if I can click on it. So this photo has been going around. This one in particular has got 2.5 million views. I've seen a few other posts that have been pretty viral with this. And I could go either way about it. So I was kind of curious how you guys felt about this kind of Brett Cooper element. And because it does feel like a very strong, like, look at this last line. Look at this last line. Bros, if you think you're safe because you got a ring on your girl's finger, you need to wake the F up. And that to me is extremely demoralizing, right? And I do think there's a difference between being completely sworn out, being completely, given up on women versus having an extremely nuanced idea of how to actually engage in the dating market and not being naive about it. Very fine line. I get that. But at the same time, I think it's getting a little bit too much. Like that last line to me is just, it's a little aggressive. I do get the element of obviously, always watch your back. But it does just kind of pushing these basal, ideas into men to like always have them insecure and doubting their relationships. It's like, that's not good for a whole either. And that actually adds into the problem, is if the husband is insecure, the boyfriend's consistently insecure. Those things don't add up. They don't help. I mean, and the girl's going to pick up on those too. So I just didn't enjoy that. What felt like this being pushed almost felt like it was to demoralize people. But Brett Cooper also doesn't position herself as much as a trad individual, like a trad wife per se. But Botan Asset says it's not about her face. It's about the fact that she flew across the country to get the hots for another man. And trust me, like I get all of this. Here's the thing though. It's like, if you married Brett Cooper, like you should have known that. You know what I mean? And she did do this photo shoot with was it the New York Times or was it Eve magazine that was funded by Peter Thiel? That's amazing. More insane stuff and more Peter Thiel connections happening in New York that also loosely tie together clavicular and seemingly now Brett Cooper. But it is kind of annoying. Here's the thing that I find annoying about this is, much like Bowtied Asset and many of you here, you see the way this one's face is. Like men can read body language too. Men have intuition as well. Men can read the signs of women just as well. And it is insane to me that all the women coming out here who are quoting this and are going at this are enraged because they're pulling up. It's the same thing with the Erica Kirk element. What they're doing is they're pulling up a 30-second video and saying like, look, she didn't look at him for that long. She broke eye contact. Like you don't need any of that. You pulling up the full 40-second video to show all the other actions before and after this doesn't change anything. This is all that you needed. It's that that's this, like, for a man, like, this is all you need to be angry, is that if even for 1/2 of a millisecond, your wife was looking at another man in such a manner. And it's not to say it's just the way that she's looking at him. It's men can see and feel the body language of women, the way they behave, the way they look. You can see it in their eyes. Much like you would say that women have this kind of intuition as well too, right? And don't ask me about it. I don't understand it. But the way that women are so confidently with their chutzpah and their audacity to say that men don't understand what's going on here is just a joke. Because if you remember back to the Erica Kirk one, the Erica Kirk thing I'm referencing is the moment where she was squeezing, she was with she had like grippers on. What do they call it? The stickum. They use it in the NFL. She glabbed her hands up with stickum right before she took 2.5 pounds of JD Vance's ass and held it in her hand. And like did the weird kiss on the cheek or whatever. It doesn't matter. You played this 30-second video before and after. It's just, there was enough there in even a millisecond of weirdness that you go, what is all this body language? Why would she feel like that's just odd, right? And you would think of it too, like directly after such an event like that, in the direct aftermath, you're like, that's off. And what I will say too, the best thing about what's been going on is all of the women coming out forward. I saw Cassandra Fairbanks, I think it's Cassandra McDonald now, forgive me, coming out and saying, all of the women coming out and are admitting, even in the opening days after that, they were in group chats texting each other like, hey, like, I feel bad for her, but does anyone else find this weird? You know, and this is what I tried mentioning at the very beginning of it with the Erica Kirk thing. Like, my mom found it weird. But to this, it's not a good look for Brett Cooper. I guess the only thing going in her favor is she doesn't really try to push that she's like this trad girl by any means. But yeah, I mean, the lesson here should be if you think you're going to get with an e-girl or a Candace Owens or someone of this level, you're going to, quite frankly, this will be you. You're going to be here. I mean, look at it like Josiah Moody, the Sarah Sock situation. I mean, and it is kind of sad that we had a bunch of these literally right before Valentine's Day. But let that be a lesson that it's not changing. The war is still happening. No one's given out a solution. It's only actually, you can say maybe it's not gotten better, it's not gotten worse, but it's clearly maintained, and maintaining a system that churns out a bunch of men who want to, ultimately take themselves out before they reach the age of 30, largely men, not a good system. Oh, wow, I didn't miss that. Thank you very much. Is that world champion? Thank you very much. Prime gift memberships. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. You're consistent with it. Been doing that like every single stream. I appreciate it. And I still need to do some more members only content. But we are getting the Rumble channel put up over the weekend, and that may be a thing I'll stream to the members actually while I'm editing and putting stuff up. I'll let you guys decide what we put for the cover art, for some of the opening graphics, profile pictures, stuff like that. Maybe make it a little bit interactive. But enough about that. Let's go to the real meat, the real reason why you guys are here. And let this be clipped by whoever wants to. Formal invitation for Zeb, whether I go on his platform or he comes on mine. Let's have a discussion about this. Let's have a full, comprehensive, and robust discussion about all of the current situation of the right wing, and specifically the arguments he laid out in the video. Thank you very much for the gifted members. They'll be pulling in. So I'm going to go to the video, though. I will pull it up. I'm not going to play it, but I want to have it on screen. So I want to reference one of the tweets that's in here. I have it right here. So here we go. I'm going to pull it to the beginning, so I want to go to the very top of this, actually. Are you kidding me? There it is. Okay. Right here at the top. And thank you very much, man. I appreciate it. I'm trying to do some quality content. My James Fishback video did so poorly yesterday. I wonder if it was because he was still under like being banned or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe it was a bad video. But this is the video from Zeb. It says, the truth comes out, psyop to demoralize by Nick Fuentes. And to me, the logical inconsistency throughout this entire thing, to me, I found it to be kind of insane. This isn't a statement against Zeb or anything. I just was kind of, to be honest with you, as I was listening through the argument, and Zeb essentially agrees with the argument being laid out in the tweet here. So we'll just basically use the tweet as the parameters of what he said here. He did say some things additional to that beyond there. Not to say he completely agrees with it. And what's funny is I get how people feel that way. I'm not going to throw any accusations. He's been nothing but nice to me again. And I'm somebody, I seriously am not trying to incur any kind of fighting or drama or, spear catching, anything like that. It's just like, this is my issue with it. So you see here in this tweet from Kaiser Von Longengram. And so this tweet is actually a quote tweet of this like 5-minute clip from Nick Fuentes, where Nick said that he's like admitting to, he ran a demoralization campaign against MAGA. So this is what it says. Literally, what are we even doing here? What is the point of this? What does this accomplish? There's no actual coherent, sensible right-wing game plan here. Voting for the better option is the obvious choice in every possible way, shape, and form. Not voting or voting for the enemy is completely and entirely retarded. There's no sensible justification for it that exists. Just in this first paragraph. So what we have here is there's no, so we'll start with this premise here, that there's no coherent and sensible right-wing game plan here, which I disagree with. And the thing is, it's like, I'm actually a full-blown accelerationist. Nick does believe there is this political solution. I believe there's a negative political solution in the sense that you will get, I'm not going to go full into what accelerationism is, but I'm actually a bit away from where even Nick is at. Nick believes there's a political solution, and then Zeb says there is no political solution. He kind of lays this out. He doesn't think there is a political solution, that the premise is that there's not a political solution, right? This is kind of, in essence, quote unquote, vote harder, guys. The idea there, poking fun at the fact that your vote can do anything. But using that same logic, right, just off the voting harder element of it, you go, well, then what does it matter with what somebody does with their votes? Right? If the whole concept behind voting harder is the idea that, for one, you're voting inside of a system that you already believe the system to be rigged. Secondarily to that, we already have doubts about our actual integrity of said election system in the first place. What are they? Are they like just flipping the numbers? And we don't even have data about that. And I'm not sure where the save deck is at right now. Hopefully it does pass without those weird provisions inside of it, though. That's a whole other story. So just in there, you go, no, this is actually being extremely reductive, and it's not engaging with the robust nature of accelerationism. In two forms, Nick is wielding accelerationism to get incrementalism. So let's start there. Nick is wielding accelerationism to get incrementalism. So, for example, the idea being wanting people to feel miserable, wanting people to feel bad about the recent choices in the political system. But this is to get the idea across, or get people in the mindset of understanding or feeling worse, the experience of feeling worse, because the current GOP in its form is utterly worthless. And quite frankly, it's almost zero difference between the Democrats. And this is kind of the argumentation leading into 2024. And, some of them would say, in line with, what's the word? With Democrats, you get like abortion and mass immigration, but with the right, you get war with Iran and a surveillance state. So you mean like, you're just essentially trading like which New World Order globalist kind of plans, organized jury plans are you going to install first? Not a matter of like which one's better. It's like which one happens first, because it's all still continually heading in the same direction. But secondarily, they do talk about Nick's IRL power, which I would be open to having a discussion about that. I would need to see a bit more like numbers on it. But I probably would lean a bit closer to where Zeb is at. I don't know if it's that the Groypers in general have the power, but I think that the America First ideals, as espoused in a bit more of a mainstream form by James Fishback, and secondarily to that Casey Push, I think are being heard. They're being well received. They're getting positive reception by people. And a little bit on Fishback actually today. Obviously, I covered him being banned and whatnot, but the New York Times finally had a poll that dropped today. They had an additional one from Bowling Green that was about the Ohio race, which I'll talk about that too. But the polling data that came out with Fishback showed that he's actually closing in on VanDerNoord, which is very notable because if you remember from the video I covered yesterday, the Polymarket data showed Fishback had a miserable chances compared to VanDerNoord. But in that, though, if you looked at the trading volume, James Fishback had about $92,000 to $93,000 of trading volume compared to VanDerNoord only having about $30,000. So just in that, more people are betting either for or against Fishback. And in that sense, it almost seems like more people are voting. I would imagine against would be driving down the number, and the people who are voting yes. And I would have to see some of the data. The Polymarket does it. But in terms of where Casey Push is at, and I know it's kind of a bit of a longer winded rant, but in terms of where Casey Push is at, the data even looks even worse. And so, for example, Push has a tweet from today because he's not even been confirmed to be on the ballot. So there's a post coming out of Casey Push today that he's talking about, which he's using the new feature where you can vote on things on X to get confirmed to be on the ballot. And so what I noticed was when I was looking at the data from the polling data from the Ohio Republican governor race, the most recent one that we got is from Bowling Green, and it was done in October of last year, October in 2025. And what sucks about it is because Casey actually didn't declare his run or candidacy until around December 16th, I believe, in 2025. So the data that we have in the Ohio race is like Casey's not even there. And the majority of the second individual in a lot of this Republican primary data is I forget his name. It's something Yost, but he's already withdrawn from the race, and then he endorsed Vivek. So, considerably differences between both of these races. But just to give you a bit of data on that. And so when I was looking at all of this, it was like, well, no wonder Casey's going to look like he's absolutely going to get annihilated. He's not even been confirmed to be on the ballot. And then the surveys that they're using, because he's not on the ballot, he's not even listed in the surveys that it's getting the favorability data or the early polling data from places like Real Clear Politics, as well as like 270 to Win, I think Ballotpedia, and where did I see the other one from? The New York Times, I think. So it's like, it's do you want Vivek, someone who's literally not even running anymore, or someone else? And the data was turning back. It was like, 70s, 80% Vivek, 6, 7, 8%, Yost, sometimes up as high as 18% for Yost, with someone else being very, very, very low. But the point I bring this up is because through this video, Zeb does make references to both the Casey and the James Fishback race, which I would say I think it's the complete opposite from what Zeb is saying. Zeb thinks that Casey has a chance to win and James will lose. I think it's the complete opposite. I think Casey has almost zero chance to win, and I want him to win. Trust me, this is not a demoralization. I'm just looking at the data, and I think James Fishback has a very strong chance to win. So, for example, in the Fishback data, we'll get to it, but I think he cleared in the most recent, he made like a 15-point push on Byron Donalds. So he closed like a 30-point gap, and now it's a lot closer than what it was initially. However, the polling market data looks a lot worse, but I think it's a betting market, so take that for what you will. Moving on to the second thing that's listed here, where's the demoralization campaign? That's that second element I want to get to here. Let me go back to the video, because this is a longer tweet. I wish I had the tweet pulled up, but I do not. Forgive me, I think it goes down a bit lower. Maybe not. Okay. But regardless, what I was going to reference, I think Zeb said, and it wasn't in the tweet, but this kind of positioning here is that what Nick is doing is only going to lead to worse results. It's only going to lead to more Republican kind of losses. It paves the way for total like Republican loss. But the thing is like that's absolutely retarded. What has accelerated the current political sphere to be leaning Democrat and looking like we're going to get an ushering in of woke. I saw a tweet earlier today with like 14,000 likes that said woke is back. Talking about ISIS packed up, cheering the fact that the left is making all these victories. And who did that? Is Nick the reason why MAGA failed on every single one of its promises? Is Nick the reason why we don't have the Epstein files? Is Nick the reason why we don't have mass deportations? Is Nick the reason why the only real meaningful executive order we got was getting men out of women's sports? To me, that's where the retardation of the argument comes in. And I don't even mean to be harsh, but it's like, really? Are you serious? Like what is accelerating our current political climate right now is the fact that MAGA is a complete joke. And that's demoralizing. That is to the point of what we got from the last few generations. Demoralizing to the point that you have men right now going like, well, what's the point? What's the point of even voting? These people are scumbags. They're all liars. And that builds in this kind of identity from a lot of men. Plant the flag in their yard. Don't tread on me. Just leave me alone. They don't care anymore. There's cognitive dissonance. They're like, I can't deal with the political shitstorm that it is. It's all toxic. It's poisonous. And I say once again, like if Kamala Harris was president right now, do we think we'd be going to war with Iran? Do we even think we would have struck Iran once? So this idea that accelerationism, and for one, to be put quite simply, this is almost like aligning yourself with somebody like John Doyle, right? There's nothing more base than voting Republican. Keep showing up to the ballot box every single year, no matter what happens, and vote Republican. Like, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? And they talk about, does he have any kind of meaningful appeal? Does he have any kind of IRL power? And then they reference, 2021 and 2022, but this was all before the generational run. This was during things while it was still very, very unpalatable to talk about these elements. It has really only been since the And really, you can hardly even count 2023 because it wasn't even until like a month or two in the aftermath what have occurred on October 7th in 2023 that really started opening things up. So all we really have had is the last 2 years between both 2024 and 2025 of this kind of new environment. And quite frankly, at the beginning of 2025 or therein about halfway through, Nick started going on his generational run. So to compare where he's at now in terms of, ability to influence IRL and being able to be, he is a bit more mainstream, to where he's at in 2021, I found to be a poor comparison. And Zeb also did the line too, where he said that Nick said to go vote for Kamala. I don't think I need to go any deeper on that one. But the thing is I don't get how you can make an argument against accelerationism, because if what we keep getting every time a Republican wins is that it's an absolute failure and it always ushers in an immediate recoup of the left, the pendulum swinging back, I mean, then that means voting for Republicans is accelerating the problem. How many years have we sat here and said that Republicans, the Republicans are Democrats going the speed limit? You are therefore, like by definition, you're just voting for a slower acceleration. The GOP has not offered anything remotely different than the Democrats, albeit on the surface they pretend to, but in essence, in what they actually provide in terms of what was consequential to their terms and administrations, it's nothing. It's meaningless. So to make this argument that people just need to go blindly vote Republican, or that we not try for independent, like the American Fascist Party or things like that, or we not try for the Renaissance Party, or we not try for, all of these elements, that to me is just like, it's so, I was just disappointed. I was just extremely disappointed, and I really don't understand the line of thinking here. I don't get how somebody can agree with John Doyle on these political premises and find themselves to be revolutionary. This is just, but again, Zeb doesn't think there's a political solution. I think Zeb is a bit more revolutionary than I'm giving him credit for. But no, it has to be, and again, I'll lay out why I believe that we have to be accelerationist. I am of the mindset, and I use Anna Kasparian as the example all the time. I don't think that in the current iteration right now, that people have been made, we're not galvanized enough. Like the mentality's not there. People are still pushing for convenience. They are, dwelling in their homes instead of trying to rebuild the temple, to reference, the book of Haggai from the Bible. We are mentally not ready for what needs to be done. And for one of these examples, mind you, is the deportations. We can't get deportations because not only is the entire left raging and protesting and willingly throwing their lives in the way in front of vehicles to save these people that wouldn't, piss on them if they were on fire. It's very disappointing, I lost my train of thought there. Forgive me. I think I just heard my child in the other room. I think they're here. This is not me trying to attack Zeb in any format. I'm not trying to use this as anything, but I would love to have a formal conversation about this. But the mentality on the right, the left obviously being insane, but the mentality on the right with these deportations is they also were, we get people like Andrew Schultz, who was supposedly Team MAGA until he saw a brown guy get arrested, and he's crying on his show. It's like, wow, a comedian literally has has a big soft spot for that, huh? And then you have other individuals on the right wing who are, pushing for, a bit more of an open borders policy, wanting to be more friendly to migrants. And you have people, again, largely from the Jewish crowd, like you have Michael Lawler pushing for, I forget what it was. It was they basically wanted a path to amnesty. They wanted common sense solutions for what we need to do with the illegal immigrants here, since, mass deportations are off the table. The next guy's not going to get it done either, because it's increasingly becoming clear to me that it's less so about the people who are. It is relevant who is in office, but it's also about the larger group of the smaller tribes mentalities of the actual peoples that we have. Not to say I don't think a lot of men in the Republican Party would at the drop of a hat want these illegals gone. But I still think we're not there yet. Not in terms of like what it actually needs to take, what really needs to be, settled down, pushed for, and what we're not going to compromise on. And when you think about that too, you think about like some of the smaller elements that we can't even agree upon. There's still not enough strong sense of cohesion among these groups. And the coalition that was built upon was doomed from the start. Absolutely doomed from the start. Building a mega coalition that extends from people like, on the very fringes, like your Nick Fuentes, to people on the left, which is your Republican gay congressman, is never going to work. They agree like on money. It's like maybe the one thing, the economic situation. Or maybe it was deportations. But then we get to the actual deportations and then you find out, wait a minute, they only agreed with deportations because they thought we were going to hand everybody a Snickers bar and give them a birthday package on their way out. There's a lot of refining that still needs to be done in terms of what the mentality is. And just look at the right wing right now. It is every day it's waking up and someone wants to fight somebody on the right wing. Every day it's infighting. Every day. It's just, it never ends. It never ends because somebody else wants to be right. Someone else has to be right. It's their way. And maybe, I try not to sit here and be, black-pilled and doom-pilled about a lot of this, but at some point, someone's got to just stop. Like, are there any Boromirs? Can we have any Boromirs? And obviously, you know how I feel about these things. It's not even to say like you need to sit there and like, swear fealty and like, hands on knees and like put your arms out and be like, oh yes. Oh yes. It's just like, do you think, oh, you missed a lot, Zeb. Give you a formal invitation to debate. Do you think that when you see the general reactions of just across the board, it's like, do you think that this helps or harms? When we read in through and through all the elements of Project Esther, and we know for a fact, and we can see it plain as day. We can't even tell, like, we can't even figure out who and with Tucker Carlson's a part of. Like, what group is he attached with? All it does is help benefit the left wing, which is this monolithic, just absolute, just amalgamation of the worst ideas, and it's the current thing. And every time, it lays it out there, getting people to infight this divisiveness and all these smaller measures. And I couldn't sit there, maybe it was because I spent so much time talking about Project Esther, but when all this stuff started hitting between Charlie Kirk and Candace and everything else beyond that, all I could sit there and see was, this is what they want. They want the right to eat themselves alive. They want us to sit here in purity spiral to such a degree that we all attack each other, we all dive each other out. And then that puts people like Ian Carroll closer to the source when we know like he's better than what's on the left-hand side, but he's not a Christian nationalist. I do appreciate the fact that he says himself, he believes he's, culturally Christian. I think that's better than saying you're an atheist and whatnot. We still need improvement. We're still too far away. The refinement, the lack of pragmatic thinking. And I use the Walmart example every single day. I will not be hearing anything else when I go outside, and I can't even see men like, eating a proper diet to breathe properly, or being able to, manage themselves in a way that doesn't make them seem like they're, psychotic or on the edge or on the fritz. But yeah, Zeb, if you're still here, invitation to debate on this, accelerationism, all of it, everything. I would just go back a little bit, honestly, because I probably finished what I was going to say about everything here. I guess quite frankly, I would say, here's my point. I guess I'd go back to that. My point would be, how could you make, what is more accelerating than the MAG administration? What the MAG administration is doing is right now, it's accelerating us to having a complete Democrat takeover. There's nothing, accelerationists did vote, and they voted for Trump, because what we're going to get in 26 is Democrats, and what we're going to get in 28 is Democrats. You know what I mean? That'd be one of the parts of the argument there. But I did reference Fishback earlier, and that's what I wanted to go to, because here's the New York Times. I think it's the quote from Fishback in the New York Times. And listen, listen, like we're friends. I don't want people to think that we're gonna, start sniping each other. But I do disagree. So this is from Joan from a couple hours ago. I'm assuming Joan has to be a paid digital account, or is somebody who is on the team of Fishback, because they just nonstop post this promo for him. But he says, wow, New York Times shows Byron Donald's lead over James Fishback collapsing, only plus 15 now. Now, I forget what it was prior to this, but that is a massive plus. And this is much, 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 much closer than where the poly market odds would have you think it was. Now, this is from Patriot Polling. I'm not familiar with this pollster, but again, this is from January 19th to the 29th, which is good because this is much, much more recent data compared to what we're getting from the Ohio governor Republican primary, which you got to think too. Maybe it's an element of when the vote's actually occurring, but I also kind of thought too, like, is Ohio just suck in terms of getting their voting data out or their polling data out? And why is Bowling Green like the only person that's like putting out any polling data for the Republican primary? I thought that was odd. But one thing that you can note at the very beginning of the polling data for Vivek, I caught this on, I believe it was the New York Times. On the New York Times polling data for Vivek, the first two polls that came out were Republican sponsored, bought and paid for to boost Vivek. I was like, well, there it is. And not to mention all the accusations of, boosting himself on the poly market. However, I've not seen strong corroboration of that. Not to say it doesn't exist, but I've only seen the claims and I've not gone out of my way to seek them out. But I would like to see what the money market looks like on the back end and how easy it is for these individuals to influence their own markets they are a part of. And I believe I've also seen that there's the other one that's doing it now too, Kalshi, whatever it's called. And I saw somebody had a viral post that went pretty big on X the other day that they were betting on a Bernie. Dude, they're betting on anything at this point, which is kind of sad. But they were betting on Bernie Sanders getting some very kind of specific words during his speech. And I guess he did say some of them, and then Kalshi dropped it to 0 and then didn't pay anybody out. So be careful with these schemes, man. Be careful with literally, any of this betting stuff, these money market things, these crypto schemes. You never know when you're getting scammed. But yeah, make sure you smash the like button. I appreciate it very much, and thank you, Zeb. It's how do you do a, because this is what I want to do. I want to be able to be a person who can disagree with somebody and it not turn into like a 4-part series drama where then all of a sudden Milo Yiannopoulos is like quote tweeting me and he's like, and here's what Atlas's baby mama said about him 3 years ago. It's like, what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, that's what I would like to do. I'd like to have, healthy disagreement that doesn't lead into more infighting. But that was the other thing, Zeb, if you're still here, I actually disagree with you. I'm inverse on where you're at. I think Casey, I unfortunately, and I want Casey to win, I don't think Casey has much of a chance. And I hate even saying that. I think Fishback has a really strong chance from the data coming out as well too. And dude, and here's the thing, let me go find Casey. Let me just show you this. Because I don't know if Zeb knows this either. I'm sure he does though. He follows Casey like every day. Right here. Tuesday is the deadline to get confirmation that I'm on the Republican primary ballot for Ohio governor. What will they say? Well, I hope he makes the ballot, right? But this is a reason why Casey's polling data is so miserable and people don't even know who he is. And not to say that just generally, but again, when they're going into these surveys, I wish I had it up on screen. When you're going to these surveys, I was going through it. It's like a 17 or 18 page report that came out from the Bowling Green. They're talking about how they did the survey, what questions were asked. And so you can see all the different answers that are in there. Casey's nowhere to be found. Only in essence of someone else. So for a lot of these different questions, quote, someone else is a viable answer. So if it's like, would you vote for Vivek Ramaswamy, Amy Acton, or someone else? Someone else is like this other eligible answer you can use. Forgive me. Which all in all is leading to, and again, I think he declared late compared to what he would normally, when most people normally declare, not until like December 16th. So he has that moving against him. Not to say like he should lose because of that. I'm just saying it's working against him because he came late to the party. Also, this might blow you guys away. Supposedly, I didn't watch the video, but the quote tweet said that Thomas Massey names the Jew. Believe this? Can you believe this? Also, that was also one of the other big things I wanted to talk about today. Hold on, I don't want to play. We'll watch that here in a second. Thomas Massey, to me, has the highest odds of running as an independent. And I think people are already pushing for him to do so. And I hope he does. I really, really, really hope Thomas Massey does. And whether he's a spoiler candidate or whether he's essentially a just, what's the word? Spoiler candidate, people say throwaway candidate. I think Thomas Massey has a really strong chance to pull some extreme weight in the upcoming election. And there was some post that was put out. And your game? Let's do it. Let's do it. What's up with woman propaganda? Dude, I have no idea. I have refrained from mentioning him because he's somebody else who has been nothing but nice to me. And I'm only seeing how do you describe it? Bad moments, I guess. Like, I'm just like, what are you doing, bro? So I've avoided even talking about him. You know, that's the white solidarity coming out of me. You know what I mean? Like, someone else can attack him. It won't be me. Let a non-white brother do it. You know what I mean? The last post is crazy. It is. I don't know what he's doing, man. I really don't. I'm rooting for him, man, but this is like it's that kind of stuff that I think, for people who don't know what we're talking about and referencing, there's a photo that was posted by Woman Propaganda, and I'm sure there's more beyond what I've even seen from him, in bed with a black woman. And this post was shared earlier in the Discord. I'm sure some of you guys are already familiar with it. I don't even know what he was posting that in reference of, what he was doing. But you know, all right. Yeah, Sarah Elijah at Woman Propaganda of Brillium. That's what I was saying on Valentine's Day. We have all these like big things occurring, all these massive, you know, not Republican, but like conservative influence type people having these terrible moments. And I think there's another one. There's a couple that are happening that are just in like the streamer space in general. I saw one guy, I don't know what his name is. It's like Chibi U Reviews or something like that. Where Chibi Reviews basically said he got cheated on, right? And something about like he got cheated on, and after he got cheated on not only by just his wife cheating on him, but she cheated on him with his best friend, and then I guess his entire circle sided with both of them, and now he's like kind of gone. And so it's just sad because you have a lot of these happening right before Valentine's Day. That feels like a demoralization campaign to get men to just like not even seek it out. And that's what it feels like sometimes, dude. Sometimes I log on and I debate downloading Roblox and deleting my channel. I wish I was joking with you, but that's just how it is sometimes. That was your cousin that he was with? Interesting. That's crazy, dude. Is Marcus my handler, dude? Did I find my FBI handler? All right. I'm gonna need House AI on the job. Who's Marcus? No, I'm just messing with you. Fortnite, Roblox, yeah. Takes wants to Roblox stream with me. That's fine. At least they're deporting people on Roblox. You know what I mean? At least on Roblox they deport people. That's funny. Oh, I see. Well, hey, dude, everybody's your cousin when you're black, right? We can catch Roblox predators. I can live out my dreams of a white Christian America in Roblox. That's the real Matrix. We all hook up ourselves to Roblox. Why would I come out? Why would I leave? Oh man. Okay, so here's one of the last things I'll do. I was only going to plan for maybe going an hour or so, because again, you know, it is Valentine's Day. I do have responsibilities, and I do want to see my daughter. But here it is. Thomas Massie supposedly names the Jew. And so this quote here on this tweet says, quote, "The FBI director, the president, and the vice president could have spared our party months of humiliation if they'd stopped lying for the sake of the Jews." Take a listen.
I have no animosity toward him. I regret that it got personal for some folks, but it never has for me. It's always been about the survivors.
What do you make of this reversal? I mean, after months of fighting you.
Well, the Speaker, the Attorney General, the FBI Director, the President, and the Vice President could have saved us all this time and embarrassment, frankly, for our own party if they'd just done the right thing 4 months ago.
Do you believe?
Sorry. Okay, joke too far. I was gesture maxing, okay? I was gesture maxing a little too much. Back to top B. All right, resume top B arc for Marcus. That's funny.
And Congressman, I mean, for weeks he's been pushing against this. Now he says he supports it. Do you buy it?
He's only supporting it because the President told him to support it.
No,
that's what Mike Johnson does.
No, I'm talking about, do you buy President Trump saying that he wants the House to pass this resolution?
Well, I'm concerned that now he's opening a flurry of investigations, and I believe they may be trying to use those investigations as a predicate for not releasing the files. That's my concern.
You think they'll try to block it?
Well, they will. I'm afraid they're going to try to use a provision of the law that allows you not to release these materials if they're subject of an ongoing investigation and would harm, and the release of which would harm the ongoing investigation.
So what do you think this is?
I'm telling you right now, if you ran a poll right now, today, in this minute of this hour, in our year of our Lord, 2026, and you said J.D. Vance or Thomas Massie will win in a landslide. Well, maybe not a landslide, but it'd probably be like 65 to 35, 60 to 40. Thomas Massie, I think, would win handily if you were to ask on just favorability.
It's all about for President Trump. First, he was blocking this, pushing Republicans to block this for so long. Now he's reversing course, and he has the power to release the full files anyway.
Well, it's pretty simple. For 4 months, he thought the best thing for him was to keep the files secret, and somebody convinced him that the best thing for him was to release the files. And if they're serious about it, they should release them right now. It's that simple.
Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and friends of him, and political donors that he's trying to protect.
So
and Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too.
So the president's saying he'll sign it. You don't buy that?
No, I think he'll sign it. I want to be there at the signing party.
Think he'll be invited?
I've never seen somebody not get invited to sign their own bill.
But what about just a personal nature of this? I mean, again, he goes after you, your wife, calls Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor.
Let's be clear, he went after my late wife and my current wife.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a new low for him, but again, we laughed it off. It's more to his detriment than mine that he, put something like that out. But I think it was beyond the pale, and if that's what it took for him to go that far to realize he needs to support this instead of opposing it, then that's okay.
And
I did forget he went after his new
my
wife.
wife has laughed about it. She did tell me to invite Trump to the wedding, and I didn't, so she blames me for him getting mad.
Are you optimistic this will pass tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's going to pass. I think it's going to pass with a veto-proof majority.
Do you think the speaker will support it?
I think begrudgingly he has to at this point.
Congressman, you obviously had your differences with President Trump in the past, but Congressman Greene was one of his closest allies, one of his strongest supporters. What do you make of the fact that over the Epstein files, it
I knew the
prompted
first one.
such
I
a
forgot about
public and
that.
searing breakup?
Second one, I forgot he.
Well, Marjorie represents the base. I mean, she represents what we campaigned on, more so than me, even the populist movement that brought Trump into the White House. And when he told his supporters that they're no longer his supporters if they still want the Epstein files released, he lost a lot of supporters, but Marjorie didn't. And she, she's in favor of finding justice for the survivors. And so she won the argument.
Do you think that President Trump has lost his touch on the MAGA base? Has lost his understanding of the MAGA base?
I think on aspects of fiscal responsibility, on aspects of starting wars overseas and getting into regime change, and on this case of releasing the Epstein files, I think.
What was her name? Lori Lightfoot?
He has strayed away from the things that he campaigned on.
I didn't hear him name the Judah, but I would probably talked over it in there. But good on Massey, man. Good on Massey. I know I don't agree with Massey on a lot of things. He is a lot more libertarian than I even ever was. But I think right now, if you're looking at who's going to get you decoupled from Israel between J.D. Vance and Thomas Massey, it's definitely Thomas Massey. And which I think is kind of curious, and it is sad because Jason brought this up as well too, which I don't know if I had covered this or not. It's been a wild week, but there was Thomas Massey put the tweet out. He said I'm in perfectly good health. I'm in a great mental health. I love life. Like the typical, like, I would not do anything to myself post. Had so many likes on it. It was like 200, 300,000 likes on it. But because everybody kind of feels that. They kind of know that. Like, they're expecting it almost. So it would be curious to see what a presidential run would look like from Massey, or if it's even, I would imagine it would be possible for him to do so. Maybe how late to the party would it be? I'm not sure how long his current term runs, or some of the kind of like smaller, what's the word? What is the word? Pragmatic kind of, technicalities of like when you have to apply, when you have to get signatures, when you got to confirm, time for allowance and things like that too. This is part of what like played into the decision for Kamala Harris, like not to run for governor, when Gavin Newsom's seat was being vacated. Because it would put you in a position where, you'd have to run a really quick campaign, the turnaround, like what do you really want to do with your future, etc. So I am curious where Massey's at. I don't know if has anyone asked him that. Somebody's had to have asked him at this point now. Let me put it on screen. Let me see. Let me just look it up. Thomas Massey, president. I wish I knew where that post was at. It might be from Thomas Massey. I'm not sure. I'll check his account real quick. That's crazy. If you look up just Thomas Massey, it's like not even in my top thing. It is crazy. I thought the same thing, King Troll. That one individual, I thought they also were a female at first, but then we got closer. It's just that super thin Indian build. Very feminine. Okay, let's see. It might be on his page. I'm not sure. I would imagine he would have reposted it. Maybe not. I know he's recently been under fire for, the names, supposedly like they weren't, like they're innocent or whatnot. Like I could care less about the innocence of some billionaires. Like I really could. Like who cares about that at all? I thought it was going to be on here. I don't know who made that post. Does anyone know what the post I'm talking about? The one where it's between Rubio, Vance, Massey, and Rubio, Massey, Vance, and I think Newsom was on there too. See, who would you vote for? You know what we're gonna do? You ready? This is what I do sometimes. I'm looking for a viral post. No. Reword this. Because AI, you gotta be specific. I'm looking for a post that went viral in the last couple of days. It was a voting poll post between Thomas Massey, J.D. Vance, and a few others. Is that a statement? It's like a statement from Massey's camp. Despite no formal declaration of candidacy, Massey 2028 is a growing political narrative symbolizing a desire for principled anti-establishment leadership within the Republican Party. That's interesting. just want to see this post. The reason why I want to find this post is because it had like 10 million impressions. Like a lot of people voted on it. Just to show you the numbers, if I could pull it up. But somebody needs to get those favorability polls out like right now. And the other thing I thought about this too is we all know that JD Vance at some point has to position himself against the Trump administration. But what may pressure him to do it even faster is if Thomas Massie starts rising. Because then if JD Vance comes out against the administration, they're going to think he's following suit with Thomas Massie. So it's kind of like there's this odd pressure there. Posted yesterday by this one. Okay, it is this one. Wow, I was way off. 400,000 views, but it did have a lot of impressions on it. Didn't even have that many followers, but it did go decently viral. Who do you pick as a front runner in the 2028 Republican presidential primary? So a passing poll on X, for whatever credibility you can give it, heavily favored Thomas Massie. But again, these things are very fluid, and so they can change the drop of a hat. But Massie would be in line with what Nick is putting out, right, which is the idea here they're in as a spoiler candidate, where maybe Massie doesn't run under the Republican primary, and then he runs on an independent ticket. And I think he just run independent. I think he just separate himself from the GOP. I would have to imagine that he's still Republican because he's taking advantage of a lot of the party system elements there. And I would imagine on the state side level too, he would probably, if he didn't, he should still continue to run as a Republican. Keep taking the advantage of that. And that was basically all I wanted to cover while we were here. I want everybody to have a good Thanksgiving. I'm not going to wrap up too much yet. I'll talk with you guys here for a second. I'll give a couple more minutes here. Let me read some of these. A lot of these came in real quick. Biggest says, base holiday only on so much to preserve the neoliberal order. WASP and Zios have conflicting long-term goals. Yeah, we just need more whites to join the team. We need more whites like Steven Crowder to recognize the game, understand where we are, play the game with us, not, drink my beer, drive my truck, get yelled at by my wife. Like that's got to go. I am telling you right now, I would sooner purge that mentality before I would attack the woke. I want that mentality gone. This idea that you can be a citizen in a nation and you have no responsibilities and you can abdicate all of them to some entity out there. No more of that. No more of that. That's not how your founding fathers saw it. That's not how the people who built this nation saw it. Your systems of governance do not work by you constantly proxying out to somebody else who's not you. You need to be involved in the actual systems. And it's not to say everybody needs to be like hands ringing over the national politics, but you need to be involved at least at the local level. And at the bare minimum, if you're not going to be involved and go to the meetings, the bare minimum is being vigilant and understanding what is happening, reading the news, following things, not being blindsided by stuff because you just had to catch the last episode of the Real Housewives of Atlanta. You know what I mean? Vance is turning bad right now. Yes, he is. And it might honest. There's still a lot of time. There's still a lot of time. And people are quick to forget. You know what I mean? Biggest says, Fishback is containment. All right, Biggest. Fishback or Byron Donalds? Those are your options. Byron Donalds or Fishback? It's just obvious. You're voting Fishback. What does anyone have to lose? Trump is killing Vance's chances. Well, Vance is killing his own chances. He is in and of himself his own entity. He was before and he will be after. He's always kind of maintained a strong independency from just being someone in the administration. Biggest says Fishback is the safe choice to utilize. So what would be the edgy choice? What's the edgy choice in that election? Vance too busy playing his banjo. That's funny. Do you really think they would let Massie succeed? No. I mean, it's hard to fudge the numbers. It would be kind of a question to see where it would go. And I think House is right with this follow-up comment right here. Is Massey's 26th run for Congress will be a good measuring stick to see how much influence the Trump endorsement has. Because if despite all of this, and Thomas Massey still maintains like a, what was it, like a 99, dude, he had like North Korea numbers. I reposted this the other day. He won with like a 99.62% like margin. Like it wasn't even close. I don't even know why his opponent tried. So we'll see. It'd be more of a matter of seeing like if he took a hit, right? If he's polling it like, he's still polling in like the 90s or higher. I mean, I would even say like high 80s and higher and see it's fine. Trump did nothing. The people sided with Massey, Good Thanksgiving, huh? Merry Christmas. I miss my truck. Kiss my fish. Drank my beer. Hug my dog. I'm telling you guys, country music is gay. It is spiritually gay. I'm telling you. Doesn't matter if it's talking about, hunting and shooting and deer. It's doing it in a way, it's using those tools against you. Yeah. How the F is Vince gonna white nationalist flag hard when his wife is a Hindu Jita? Well, exactly. Exactly. Pay attention to Vance's code switching soon. Remember, he's doing it to trick us to vote for another Israeli puppet. I'm telling you, it's coming. It's coming. It's very, very soon. We're going to see JD Vance. He has to. He has to. And I've been of the mindset that I think he's biding his time. He's waiting for it to get a lot closer to 28 so that he doesn't sour himself badly in the administration, leaving time for them to throw blows at him, but do it last minute closer to 2028 so the momentum carries over and helps build through his campaign as he continues it out. But what do I know? I'm just some like retarded guy in Ohio. Trump's endorsement's worthless now. I think this is going to be what we're going to see. I think we're going to see how real that sentiment is. I would agree with you. I would just based off of what I'm seeing on X, but I'm not going to underestimate how dumb people are. I feel like we might be overestimating how much the average person consumes, reads, and understands, and is willing to move on with. Did I tell you to have a good Thanksgiving? Well, have a bad one then, Tix. Yeah, it's Valentine's Day. That one. Listen, I'm trying, dude. Biggest said, look, Vance can win white nationalists only if he divorces the Jita and picks up Eric Kirk. Yeah, I mean, is that really what's gonna happen, dude? Would that not be the craziest, like, just development? Is that a scandal breaks out that JD Vance was cheating on his wife, Usha, with Erica Kirk behind the scenes, and it goes back to like 2018, and then you find out that JD Vance was actually honeypotted by Erica Kirk back in 18, and like he's really been under the thumb of Teal the entire time. He was cloned in a fact. No, I'm just kidding. It's just the way it is. But I appreciate you guys greatly. I apologize for anybody who came here super late. This was just going to be a short kind of Valentine's Day stream. I wanted to get out there while I had the time, and because we're going to be moving the studio, so this will be like the last that you are going to see of everything behind me. For the time being, I'm going to have to reformat it and refit it in the new studio, so it might not look as cool. I'm going to try to get the same effects back there, but it just might not be the same. But things got to get moved, and I'm the only one that's clearly capable of moving the desk, and I don't trust anybody to touch my PC, so like I just can't do it. Like the anxiety blows through my body. When I see my wife touch my stuff, I'm like shaking, dude. I'm like, put it down. Please. I'm sure a lot of you guys are like that too. You see your wife touching your 3D printer or anything like that. You're like, please put it down. Stop touching it. Or, she'll pick up my, she'll pick up my 9mm, swing it around. This isn't that heavy. You know what I mean? I want to touch your BIOS settings. Yeah. That's what it feels like. She touches the monitor, all of a sudden it just fractures, spiders immediately. Nobody touches the printer. That's fine. I appreciate you guys. I'm rooting for you guys. Let's stop infighting. Everybody needs to ascend. I know I used clavicular and Billy talked about it, but the message is to ascend. The message is to be better than you were the day prior. It's not easy. We're not perfect. We're all flawed. We are all imperfect. Such is the fall of man. Turn to the one true source that should be your source of everything, which is the Lord Jesus Christ. But also in the same element, do not let the individuals who hold the ranks and in the institutions browbeat you into submission over their perverted view of it. We are in a very, very nuanced time. It is very difficult to get our arguments out without sounding insane. It's very hard to even digress on a lot of these things without feeling frustrated, sad, depressed, disheartened. But it doesn't matter. We have to push forward for the brothers that come after us, for the sisters that come after us, for our own children, for the men that can't speak, for the men that have already passed, for the women, for the Irina Zarutskas, for all of the people who have suffered at the hands of this current world global Jewry order. Whatever you want to call it, whoever you're going to put there. That's what we have to push. No matter how dark it gets, no matter how bad it is, even if you're the only person left, last person on earth, you have to. Because think about it. Think about all the other men in our current society right now that said, no, not me. I'm not going to let my little pretty life get threatened over that. I don't want my wife over my shoulder for something like that. We need to crush it and rise above. And mentally too, and get your money up as well. It's a multifaceted element of ascending. And I think the best advice for it is, don't ask me how, figure it out. But with that, Christ is King, Christ is Lord, deport Kash Patel, deport Pam Bondi. At this point, throw them both in jail. Let's impeach them. Let's have a show trial, if you will. I'd like to see everybody in the administration at this point impeached. Who cares? Burn it down. But with that, I'm rooting for you guys. As always, any woman over the 120 pounds, you're getting deported too. Don't care if you're white, you got to go. And anyone between the 100 and 120 pound range, will put you on a 3-month kind of notice. You have until then. Have a good rest of your day, guys. Good luck on Valentine's Day. I'll see you tomorrow.
Get up and get out. Get out. Get out.
I have a question for you.
Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ